Hi, Misha here.
And this is Jay.
And this is kind of a multi-reason video. We have some channel news. We're working on a new Patreon tier. This is kind of, we'll tell you about what we kind of have prototyped up. It may change a little bit before it goes into full service, but we'll talk about that. And talk about some future plans. But first, just to have some gun content in this one, I've laid out 6 different AKs because lately I've been asked a pretty specific question by more than one person. What is the closest to Russian military spec AK variant in which in different categories to what we can get? What can we get that's the closest to an AK47 Type III, an AKM, an AK74, AK74M, RPK? Several people have asked me, and I've said this in multiple videos, but kind of spread out over different ones. So I thought, let's do it concisely.
Sure.
And these are, again, people ask specifically about imports. Now, if you want an exact clone, the only real option is kit build.
Yeah.
But if you want an import, I've laid out a few here. And one of them is really Russian. The rest are not, but they're built using the Russian license and tooling. So for the AK47, the AK Type III, basically a milled receiver, 7.6239, you have a couple of options. Now, you could get a pre-banned Chinese Polytech Legend. It's pretty close to a Russian, but I did a video a while back comparing how it's not. For example, it will have a pressed and pinned barrel, and it will have kind of a simplified trigger guard and some other things, but it's pretty close. But those aren't as common. I had this come in. This is a milled Mac 90, essentially a 1990 to 94 import, so post 89 ban version of a Legend. And this is an option, especially if you want to do a little restoration. You get an original milled receiver, you get an original 16-inch chrome-lined barrel. Unfortunately, it has the sporter treatment, so you have to work on it a bit. It does have a standard mag well, though, so no messing there. And the only reason I brought this out is it does have a blued finish, like the original Russians. So that's one option, the Chinese. Not exact, but none of these will be. Another option from the same era is the first Bulgarian import, the SA93. Now, I have converted this one. It originally came in with a thumbhole stock, but I put an original stock on it. I have this dressed up to be a Bulgarian late production. Now, one way it's not as Russian-fied is that these come in with a paint over part finish, not blued. On the other hand, they do come in with a top tang and a square cut receiver. Unfortunately, your milled Mac 90s are what are known as slant cut receivers. And no, that's not a racist term, that's just what they are. That means even though we have a top tang, under it, if you try to put on a standard stock, you're going to have a gap and some issues. That's because these originally were under folding stocks, but never mind. So that is one detraction for these, but they do have a blued finish. Personally, I think the Bulgarians are a little bit nicer. That's just me. And, converting them is about the same work, but I just like the end result more. So that's an option for a milled if you're wanting to get something Russian. That's really it. You don't have many milled options. I like you. You want a milled? You have the Arsenal, yeah.
I have an M1960, and then I have the Arsenal, same 7K.
Yeah, I mean, and you definitely can get like a Sam 7, but those are modern guns. But people are asking about Soviets. For AKM, I could have answered a few different ways. I nearly brought out the Romanian SAR-1 or Wasser 10, but in the end I decided to go with the Egyptian Mahdi. This is an early post-ban Interact that still has the threaded barrel. So about the only thing that's neutered on her is the bayonet lug, but that could be welded back. Never mind the folding stock. It has a standard rear trunnion. You could put a Russian style furniture set on it, no problem. It has a dimpled magwell. These came in with standard magwells too. The reason I picked this over the Romanian guns, if you're really going for a Soviet generic AKM, two reasons. One, these do not have a scope rail. And Soviet guns, while they had scope rails on some models, that wasn't standard. The AKM didn't come with that by default. Another one, the Romanian guns are phosphate finished. And this is paint over phosphate, which is technically what Russia went to when they went to the AKM. So the finish, gloopy, bubbly, runny and all, is closer to Soviet spec, because if you look at a real Soviet AKM, they have a utilitarian finish, but it's not the smoothest, nicest. And these are good shooters and everything else. But that's really it. A lot of things that people call AKMs really aren't. But again, an SAR-1 or a Wasser 10 are extremely close as well. So, and that's probably the one people ask the most about. And I know the one you've got, you have a WBP Fox.
Yep.
And that's pretty close.
Yep. And that's, I think in our collective opinion, about one of the best AKMs, one of the best receiver 7.62x39s on the market right now.
It's almost like an AKMM, because it's like a modernized AKM, because it has the barrel mount and it has the thicker top cover. Yep. So it's
and a side rail mount, so it's an AKMNM.
AKMNM, yeah. It's a really good gun, but it's getting a little away from Soviet spec. But that's another one if you're not an absolute purist. For AK-74s, aka 545 guns, there are really just the one option of the arsenals. If you want a fixed stock, you can look for one of the older SLR 105s, but only a few of those came in back in 2004 through 2005. That's the only really fixed AK-74 original pattern. More common, the 104 FR, which is the folding version. So this is very close to the spec, there we go, of the sling getting in the way, of the AKS-74. It has the magwell dimples. It has 24 mil threads. Since this was imported after the sunset of the assault weapons ban, we have bayonet and accessory lugs. Takes standard furniture. I mean, this really is an AKS-74 because Bulgaria obtained their tooling and all that from Russia. And when you get Bulgarian parts kits, a lot of times Russian parts will kind of float around in there. So those are your options. Guns like the Romanian SAR-2, Wasser-2, they're not really that close to Russian spec. They're PA-86 spec. And yeah, there's just not a lot of imports for 545. Right. You know, that's what it is. Moving right along. Of course, for the AK-74M, which yes, people have specifically asked me about, there's really only the option of the SGL series, imported originally by Arsenal, later FIME, built in Russia by Izhmash, later under the Kalashnikov name. That's because really Russia is the only one that does the AK-74M, although Venezuela has purchased a license to produce them. But other countries like Bulgaria, Poland, they never did this because the AK-74M is post-Soviet times for the most part. And all it is a modernized, hence the M, AK-74, or rather AKS-74. For example, now the folding stock is standard, not optional. And they've gone to the modern furniture, they've gone to a smooth top cover, they've improved the collar system for the muzzle brake for reliability and accuracy reasons. I've done a whole video comparing this to an AK-74, so you can check that out, but really, yeah, that's the only option. Guns like the SLR-106, SLR-107, they're actually just AK-74 patterns, not AK-74Ms. It's just what it is. And finally,
I'm gonna help you with this one.
Yeah, no kidding.
There you go.
He didn't want to get whacked.
I didn't want to get jabbed in the ribs with it.
For an RPK, the only real imports for a 7.62 original RPK spec AES-10B. Made in Romania. They had the license from Russia. It's pretty much exact. Now this is a paratrooper model, late production, so it has the Romanian style bipod, it has the paratrooper grip, has the folding stock, but you can find plenty of fixed stocked AES-10Bs, including the current imports, that are just a dead ringer for Russian production. A lot of people ask about the Arsenal SA RPKs. The thing is, those are really not at all Russian production. They're their own critter, totally really different, plus milled receiver. Russia never did a milled receiver RPK. And of course, before someone asks me, yeah, there's also the Vepr RPK74M there. We've done a lot of videos on it, but that was enough. But those are my answers for if you want an import. And of course, you can dress them up in Russian furniture, which is what I did with my 105. But
Yep.
all are reliable, all are good, all are what I could get. And really, none are available right now because the market sucks.
Yep.
So, there is that. Hope that helped and gave us some AK content, because we're going to give you some channel news, and then we're going to finally announce a vacation break. Finally.
Yep, finally. Yeah, we've been going pretty hard for, if you guys have noticed or follow us very closely, for the last 2 months, really. And mainly, it's because we knew people would be down, would need a lot of stuff to watch. So we tried to make an effort to get a video up, not quite every day, but there were definitely times that we had videos coming out just about every day. So we've been pushing pretty hard to get as much content out there as we can, and at this point are somewhat out of ideas, mainly very tired.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I think after we decided to go on vacation, then ideas started to flow. But while we have ideas, I need time to research and just time to rest and kind of get some in. And another thing too, in April, there were still quite a few guns. For example, the Zastava ZPAP with the 1. They were in the pipeline that had already been approved and already partially through importation before COVID. Now we're kind of getting into the doldrums. Yep. Everything that was in the pipeline is gone, and there's just not much new.
Right.
But there are some new surplus things, yeah. And you're kind of on a kick lately.
Yep. Yeah, I've been doing some things myself that I'll do videos on at some point in the future. But really, at this point for me, it's more just I want to do them whenever I want to do them. I feel like I want to get back to a point where I'm doing videos because I feel like I just want to do the video. I think that'll give us a little bit more energy, probably make the content a little bit better, a little more thorough, and hopefully a little more entertaining to watch. So
yeah, it's always fun when you have new stuff, and I think people really like the AK content, but the problem is, guys, there's nothing new on the AK front. There's a lot of promises, like at SHOT Show, and when we did the AK-74 videos, everyone talked about the Riley defense.
Yep.
The thing is, it's not out yet.
Right.
The PSA is not out yet.
Right. Yeah, so we can talk about those to the extent of those are coming out, and that's about all we can that's about the only info we can contribute. And honestly, we've already done that in the year of the AK SHOT Show video that we did. We did that already. So now it's just a matter of them coming out and getting hands on them and all that stuff. So
yeah, and once they come out, we really like to have a couple of weeks at the minimum to play with them, because sometimes you get a gun, you unbox it, it seems awesome, but only later do some problems start to kind of. So there's that. I did pick up a couple of Milspec collections, and that's kind of always been my passion. So you'll probably see some more Milspec stuff. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I would encourage you. You might not think it is, but you might find it interesting. Some of the stuff, even if you're not really into history, the mechanics can be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, just because it's not the newest, latest, and greatest things doesn't mean that there isn't things that you can discover about a gun and maybe develop an interest in because of it.
Yeah.
So, but
the AK markets. Another question people have asked me: what about Colt? We've done a few. I haven't heard much from Colt this year. They were starting to get back on track in December, starting to ship guns, and then the COVID situation. I don't know what's happening there, and that's kind of the case with a lot of these places. People have asked about the Bren 2 carbine. I know a few have trickled out, but they're not readily available yet.
Right.
The Swiss guns that JDI Santa Imports was expecting, they're of course delayed because of all this. Unfortunately, the Mini Baril, which was hopefully going to be out next month, is delayed. I talked to them last week. They just don't know. It could still make it, but probably not.
Yep.
And really the biggest bummer, Arsenal/Fime has done nothing new in so long.
Right.
Every SHOT Show, every year I keep thinking they're going to announce a new import, and they just don't.
Right. Yeah.
It's just kind of the same with Romania. I keep thinking maybe we'll get. I'd love to see a RPK and 545 from Romania.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But we do have Zastava USA.
Sure.
They seem to be pushing forward, so that's something to watch.
And that's one thing. Zastava, but a lot of the U.S. guys are going to be ahead of the game on guys who are doing pure imports, because the guys that are doing pure imports are going to be impacted by all this COVID stuff. Because even if the country that is making the guns or the product or the parts or whatever happens to be are open, the shipping isn't necessarily, like, it's hard getting anything from overseas right now.
And Europe really seems to have shut down a lot of factories, and this is something I was talking with an importer. Even if, say, Switzerland, well, actually it's reversed. Even if, say, Germany is letting people go to work, a lot of those people might work over in Switzerland or vice versa, and they cannot cross the border. Because in Europe, it's like here, you might work in a different state. So that impacts the workforce. And yeah. So we don't know. We'll see. And hopefully, the Riley Defense and the PSA do come out and come out on time. Because again, they're just not here yet. So we're gonna. Yeah, I'm trying to think when we took our last vacation. I think we came back from our last vacation, in January?
Yeah, and we were originally planning to do a vacation in late April or May.
Right, I think it was April.
Yeah, all happened, and it was like, well, right now people are watching stuff, so we probably should keep making stuff for a while.
Yeah, instead of taking a break when we were kind of at our 3-month point, which we usually do, we actually upped it.
Right.
And, even when we're gone, those of you who knows, we will still put out a video now and again, probably a gun of the day or an old archive video that we forgot to post.
Yep.
Could be amusing there, but it'll give us a little time to get some new things, have time with them, take them to the range.
Yeah.
And work on exactly getting our new Patreon tier ironed, at least the details ironed out.
Right.
So right now, $1, you ask questions. Right now, $5, you can order a video, which we've knocked out a few this month, but some of them, guys, if you're still waiting on yours, it's because we don't have the guns yet. I put out feelers, for example, the Smith & Wesson Model 13. I haven't forgot, but I want to have one in hand anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing to note too on that is, if you, in order to access that post, you have to have donated the $5. Like once it's charged you have access to that post to be able to make your request. And we set that up basically so people didn't go sign up for the $5, make a request, and then cancel. But if you've done that and you've posted realistically, we're going to do your video regardless of whether you keep contributing at $5 or not.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go anywhere. So I don't want people to think I'm paying $5 a month into this and they're not doing my video. What am I paying for? Well, once you post it in there, like you're good. We'll keep it in there and it'll be in the queue until we actually do it.
Yeah, and again, if you request one that it's guns we have or have access to, it'll be faster. If it's a more obscure thing, it's going to be slower, but that's because it takes time to find those. But yeah, we hadn't forgotten. We knocked out 2 or 3 in the last month, and we'll try to keep doing that.
Yeah.
So, $10. We had a different system, but Patreon made us shut it down a year or so ago.
Yep.
thought about a $1.10 one, and see how this sounds to you guys. Feel free to make suggestions. $1.10, you can basically ask me or Jay, but probably it'll end up mostly being me unless it's an optics or accuracy thing, direct questions, because there seems to be a little confusion about the $1. The $1 was intended to post public questions for the, every 2 month or so Q&A.
Yep.
Not questions to us directly. And I'm just saying that because, time and everything else. And so with the $1.10, it will basically be, you can ask direct questions. You can have my email, which is really not that hard to find, although some people seem to think it is. Heck, we can even talk on the phone. I was joking with Jay. I said, if they ask one question, email's easy. If they ask me more than 3, I'm just going to say, give me a call, because it's easier. But basically, just I'll be at your disposal to do whatever I can. And I will do my absolute best to get back with you within 24 hours at that point. So if you have a question about a gun. Now remember, I can't see pictures. So if you email me pictures saying, what do you think of this? I'm going to go, nice.jpg. So that would definitely be a time when I would say, give me a call, and I'd ask you to kind of describe the gun to me. But keeping in mind my physical limitations, things like that, I thought that might work out. That way, if people want to ask a question privately or need an immediate answer, they can do that.
Sure.
That's just a thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we'll put our emails into basically that $10 plus direct contact thing. And I did reword the $1 Q&A a little bit to make it a little bit more clear on it's for the Patreon Q&A that we do every other month, basically.
Yeah, that was our thing. I mean, it wasn't you guys. It's just...
No. And we were getting... What it basically boiled down to is we've gotten enough patrons at this point where we had people coming in, signing up for the $1, and then messaging us through Patreon. And then we were getting like 10 or 12 of those a week. It was just getting really hard to manage. So we're trying to get that consolidated a little bit more so that way we actually can respond to people. And so that's been reworded. The other change that I've made to the Patreon setup is I put up a Q&A. The Q&A is already out there. I'm just going to leave a Q&A thread posted year-round, basically. So if you have a question that just pops into your head, and it would be something normally you might send us a message through, just go post it in the Q&A, and then we'll add it to the Q&A list in the next one that we do.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get through a month or a 2-month period or whatever, 6-week period roughly, whatever it happens to be, we'll go through and answer all the questions, post the Q&A video, then I'll close that thread and immediately open a new one. So that way we can keep track of which ones we've answered still. So that way, if instead of having like the 2-week window that we would normally have of, hey, it's up there, go post in it, and then close it, and then not having any other way to ask a question, you can ask a question at any point as things pop into your head, and then we'll answer it on camera.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point of the $1 It's almost an entertainment thing. That's why we encourage kind of wacky whatever questions or what if scenarios. It's more for fun. It's not so much for, hey, I bought this gun, what's it worth, or should I buy this? Because a lot of those questions, it's so subjective. But anyway, we thought that would try to split it up a bit. And of course, if you're at $1.10, you still have access to the $1 and $5 benefits.
Yep.
I mean, it increases.
One other note too is make sure that if you're contributing $1 or $5 or $10, make sure that you have a tier selected, because one thing that I learned recently, just within the last couple of weeks, is if you don't have a tier selected and then a post is made that's for that tier, the $5 tier or the $10 tier, whatever it is, you won't be able to access it because you don't have a tier selected. So make sure, like if you're contributing already at $1 or $5 or $10, make sure that you have a tier selected, so that way you can still get access to those Patreon specific posts.
Yeah, that's not our stuff. That's just Patreon. That's just how they're set.
And I didn't know about that, like I said, until 2 weeks ago.
I know very little about the administration end of it. So yeah, we're hoping to make that a little more useful and clarifying. And just keep in mind that the whole Patreon system is basically a donation, and the stuff we do is classified as a reward. You're not really buying stuff.
Right.
It's not a purchase thing. It's a donation / rewards thing. So just kind of mentally keep that in mind, and it probably makes the system work a lot better. But
Yep. For sure.
yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Not sure when we'll be back, or even when we'll post this exact video, because we do have some content stuff, but it's going to take a little time to get the ducks in a row. The COVID thing, of course, has messed up a lot of timetables for you, us. So
Yep.
yeah, but in the meanwhile, because since January we've posted I don't know how many videos. I'm sure you've missed one or two, so check those out.
Yep.
And
I know we have over 800 videos. I know that much.
yeah.
So there's plenty of stuff out there. If you want to cringe really bad, go back and watch. Sort from oldest to newest, and go back and watch our first 2 years of videos or so.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd say, 2011, 2012 especially, but even up through about 14.
14, yeah, it was around.
15 seems to be when we got a little better.
Yep.
But it's still out there.
Yep.
It's the great thing about the internet. It's always there.
Yep.
So, yeah, we thought we would just, channel new stuff. I'm trying to think if there's any other things. But yeah, I thought people like AKs, and hopefully there will be some new AK stuff coming. I'm still really excited about the Mini Baril.
Yep. For sure.
And I'd love to see a new Romanian 5.56.
Yep. That would be cool.
Otherwise, I'm going to be knee-deep in Cosmoline, so probably this summer, unless things change, you're going to get a lot of Milsurp and wheel guns.
Yeah, it's gonna be Milsurp and wheel guns time. The most popular things that we do.
Hey, they might learn to like it.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's entertaining to me. It's what got me into guns is Milsurp.
There you go.
Certainly wasn't AKs.
Yep.
Alrighty, guys. Well, it's Friday. It's about to be a weekend, so we're gonna call it a rest. And if you have any questions about how the Patreon system works, feel free to message us through there. And I guess that's really about it, guys. We greatly appreciate all the support over the last couple of months, and we really do hope everyone has made it through okay so far and is safe. And we hope that maybe our videos helped just the tiniest little bit to pass some of the time while you're stuck at home.
Yeah. It helped us pass the time making them while we were stuck at home. So,
Yep.
Works out.
Anything else you can think of?
Well, we'll probably, actually, I'm guessing we haven't discussed this yet, so we're having this discussion on here. We'll probably come back with a Q&A, or pretty close to a Q&A would be my assumption.
Yeah.
Because it'll be about that time again. Like I said, if you're interested in asking a question to be read and answered on camera for our next Q&A video, go check out the Q&A thread post. It's open. I think that when you sign up, I send you a message with the link in it. I could be wrong about that, but you'll find it. It's open.
Yeah, keep in mind, guys, this isn't our profession.
Yes.
YouTube is what we do because we love guns.
Yes. And the Patreon we do because people asked us to do it.
Yeah,
so,
believe it or not, it was a thing.
There is some management involved with it, but so yeah, go check that out if you want, and so make sure you get those in the next few weeks. But there'll always be a thread open, going forward.
Oh, also pray for me because I finally had to switch over to Windows 10.
Oh yeah, that's been another struggle.
I just want XP back.
Yeah, I think everybody wants it. Everybody but Microsoft wants XP back.
We need to just work that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's been a thing too.
Yep.
Alrighty, guys, if you have any questions or comments, do please post them below. And obviously you know about the Patreon and stuff because we've been talking forever about it. So we're gonna put on some James Reeves shorts and luau shirts and go head to the beach and try to chill out for a bit and be back in a while.
Yeah.
This is Misha.
This is Jay.
And we'll catch you sometime.
See ya.